Hi everyone, welcome to Raise to Rise podcast, a place where we discuss bite-sized wisdom nuggets with easy-to-follow practices to live a better life. Raise to Rise podcast is supported by Ayurvedic Seva. Ayurvedic Seva is an herbal dietary supplement line set out to change the industry by dedicating the company to quality, safety, and holistic approach on making the wellness journey safe, healthy, and natural. If you want to start adding some natural herbs in your life, then head over to ayurvedicseva.com and use our promo code RAISE2RISE for 30% discount. Once again, it's ayurvedicseva.com and use our promo code RAISE2RISE for 30% discount. I am your host, Mital Patel, a parenting junkie, Ayurveda enthusiast, and an advocate of conscious living. Hey, welcome to Raise to Rise podcast. Thank you so much for everyone for being here. Today, we have another coach between us. Let's welcome Odette. She is passionate about helping people create the life and relationships that they want by deep diving into the relationship with themselves. She believes that cultivating self-awareness and being in alignment with your value is essential in order to create a life filled with meaning and purpose. Odette is dedicated to empowering her clients with tools for living to their highest potential and becoming the best version of themselves. Her mission is to create a ripple effect of personal development, one person at a time, which will contribute to the global growth and evolution. In other words, she believes in Jay Shetty's words and she goes with it that, hey, let's make wisdom go viral. So welcome, Odette. So happy to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And you know how I really love how you're so aligned with Jay's word, like let's make wisdom go viral. And your mission about helping, creating that ripple effect is amazing because each person on this planet understands about the ripple effect. Just imagine how healed of a planet we'll have. And there will be no comparison, no issues, because we will be understanding ourselves through the self-awareness that you're trying to create. So you go. I love what you were about to create there.
Thank you. I love that. And you know what? I really believe that if we focus first on our circle of influence and our circle of control, that's where it all begins. Our family. That's why I love what you do and what you're all about as well with your conscious parenting, because that's what it's all about. That's where you start. And then that creates the ripple effect as well.
Totally.
That's where it begins.
I agree with the point. Like it just starts from us. So just like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see in others. So it's like we got to be the change in order for us to create that ripple effect.
Exactly. You have to walk the talk.
We got to walk the talk. So before we even go deep into our conversation, tell us something about yourself that most people don't know.
Well, this is kind of silly. Something about myself that most people may not know is that I love to karaoke.
Oh,
I'm not exactly the best singer in the world, but I don't care. I love to sing. I love to sing in the car, in the shower all the time. And I love to karaoke. We go with my family somewhere and there's karaoke and my family's very musical. My parents, my sisters, my kids, and we just kind of take over. We love to sing. It's so funny. It doesn't matter that we can't sing. We just
we love to enjoy the music.
Doing it. Yes.
I love how you said that I don't care. I'm just gonna do it. It's like because I like it, and I love it. This is about me. So it actually speaks like what you're trying to do. Okay, do it from your with yourself first. Start from within. So you're actually living that value. Even when you mentioned about the karaoke, you're doing it.
It brings me joy. And karaoke, there is no expectation to be good or bad, to be a great singer or not. There is no expectation. So you just go and you do your thing and it brings me joy.
That's
so
it.
I really love doing it. Yeah,
I love that. And I love how you said that, you even love to sing in the bathroom. I do too. I love singing. I mean, at work too. I sing when I'm doing something, and sometimes my people will be like, we heard you singing, and I was like, yeah, I know, I was singing, but I don't care. If
Yeah.
I sing good or
I
bad,
was,
I just sing in public anytime.
yeah, I was singing for myself.
Exactly. I was singing for myself and I'm listening to myself. It just brings me joy, like you said.
Yeah,
Enough
exactly.
about me. So one other thing, because how you're dedicated about empowering your clients with the tools so that they can be aligned with their value and the self-awareness. From that, if you were to tell us what is self-awareness in your words, how would you explain?
Self-awareness is it's about knowing yourself.
Mm,
This is the foundational step to living a meaningful life. People say, "Oh, just be yourself."
yes.
But well, what does that mean?
Yeah, yeah,
you
no.
know, it's really important to take the time to figure it out.
Mhm.
But by
Mhm.
cultivating self-awareness, you're deciding to take 100% responsibility for your life, for your thinking, your
Mm,
behavior, for all of it. We expect other people to understand us and to
mhm.
accept us.
Mm.
Yet many times we don't understand ourselves and we
Oh,
don't
I
accept ourselves,
love
you
the
know?
point that you just made. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to interrupt you because you mentioned like we're expecting other people to understand, but yeah, we don't even understand ourselves.
Right.
How profound is that? Like most of the time, we don't know what we want. There's no clarity within
Right.
ourselves. I
Right.
love that.
Right. And we can't put that on someone else when we don't have that clarity for ourselves. So,
Mm,
self-awareness is all about exploring who you are as an individual. What are
mhm,
your roles? What are your strengths? What are your
mhm,
skills? What are your talents? What are should I develop these skills and talents?
mm,
Also, what are your weaknesses and faults?
mhm,
Aware of that. Is there some faults that I can learn to change?
mhm.
How do other people view me? How does my behavior affect the people around me? And then
It's
the
a
most
lot of
important
patterns.
yeah, and then the most important thing is, what are my values? What's important to me? What's
Mm,
blocking me from being the kind of person I want to be and do the things I want to do? So it's all
mhm,
about asking yourself and taking the time to answer these types of questions,
mm.
you know?
I like that you're mentioning about yourself, asking ourselves the questions. How many times do we ask ourselves that one question? It's just we're so fixated in asking question to other people
Right.
than ourselves. Like we've never asked. Probably nobody has ever asked themselves like, how am I feeling today? Earlier you mentioned about taking the responsibility of ourselves and our
Right.
what we want. That was another thing that hit me like, yeah, most of the time we don't even take the responsibility for
Right.
what we say, what we do, what we
We're
feel.
not even aware of it. We're
We're
just
because we're
things
not.
just come
Mm,
out of our mouths and we behave a certain way. We're like on autopilot and we're not even
mm,
aware of it. And that's why I'm big on journaling. I always have been. I have tons and tons of journal because that's one way that
mm,
you can work on cultivating self-awareness. Also practicing
mm,
mindfulness, practicing gratitude, meditation, spending time in nature. Anything that helps keep you present is going to
mm,
help you just make a practice
mhm,
of being self-aware.
mhm, mhm. So for those of you who are listening to us, Odette is also a parent, and she is whatever she's sharing today is she has done it all while being a mom also, while being
Yes.
a parent also. So it's possible. It's possible for all of us parents to do the same thing. Like it's so important for us parents to cultivate this the art of self awareness, and by practicing how you mentioned about journaling, mindfulness. What else? Can you remind us again?
Meditation, just being in
Meditation.
nature, spending time in nature, anything that's going to keep you present. Practicing
Yeah.
gratitude. I mean, my kids, it's funny, we were having the conversation. Now my kids are older. Their age is 21. My middle one's going to be 18 next month, and my
Mm-hmm.
son is 16. But we were
Wow.
talking about my like, oh, I still write in my journal every day, first thing in the morning, three things that
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for. This is something
Mm.
that I started with them when they were tiny. Like we would just talk about it every morning, first thing. And
Wow.
they're still doing it all these years later. So it is possible. If you
It
start when they're young, it just becomes a normal part of their lives.
I love that. It's all about planting those seeds when the soil is, nice and moist and soft, and it's just ready to take the seed in. And then all we got to
Right.
do is nurture.
Right. That becomes their normal,
Yeah, and
their
then
normal everyday routine.
Wow, that's amazing. How you've practiced it for so long, and your kids are still doing it.
Yes,
And I think that's because of you doing it, them watching you do it, and now they're doing it. They're
right.
modeling your practices. That is, oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So now you just gave me the assurance that the things that I'm doing with my kids is it's gonna be fruitful.
Oh, you're amazing. You're doing all the amazing things. Your kids are going to be great. Yeah.
It's gonna be fruitful. Okay, so it's gonna be a
Yeah.
normal for them when they're ready.
Yeah, you're making that foundation, and you're being the example for them.
Well, I learned from parents like you. We've had these conversations before too, about you raising your kids in a way and how passionate you are about living consciously with your kids. So that's why I had to bring this up, that as a parent as well, we can practice these things. So earlier you talked about the values, and even in your current life coaching practices also, you talk about how important it is to be in alignment with our values, and to live a better life and to meaningful life. So how can one assess what are their values? So if you can share any tips with us, that would be great, so that we can find out what are my values.
Sure, sure. So values are a part of your self-awareness. So once we take a deep dive into ourselves and we gain clarity about what matters most to us
Mm-hmm.
or to you and what kind of impact you want to make, that's when we dig into what our values are, so that now we
Mm-hmm.
can create a vision for our life that we want to live, and the person that you want to become. When you talk about your value, you're talking about things that are really important to you in terms of what you believe, how you behave, what kind of person you want to be. So examples of values are love, honesty, discipline,
Mm,
responsibility, all those
mhm,
things. And once you can identify what your values are, they serve as your compass. They guide you in
mm,
everything that you do, in every decision that you make. It becomes clear because you go back to your values. Does this fall within my values?
mm.
Now you can establish your goals because you understand the goal behind the goal. It's really the goal that we're looking for. It's really the values, your values. It falls back to your values. That's the goal behind the
Wow,
goal.
yes,
Don't
yes,
know what your values are. You're just going through life without a sense of direction. You're just going through the
yes,
motions. You're
yes.
just functioning from a reactive place, and you're just reacting to circumstances that are happening to you around you. And it
Mm.
becomes more difficult to make decisions. It becomes more difficult to determine what the right thing to do is. Our values drive our choices and our actions.
Oh, I love that. So what Odette is saying, that if you don't have values set for your life, it will be like you're directionless. And that just hit something in my mind, that means the values, just a word values is a map. And so we need to know, what is that destination that I want to go? Is it, so the whole value list is like, love, gratitude, responsibility, discipline. What are the values? Where do I want to go? And
Right.
once I know which value I want to live by, then you can get the direction, right? Is that is
Right.
that is that what's coming to a picture of that?
Exactly.
Love
Exactly.
it.
You can.
Love it.
Right. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, that's what we are really searching for.
Mhm.
We have goals, like we want to, get a certain job, buy a
Mhm.
car, and accomplish certain things, and that's great. We can
Mhm.
accomplish these goals. There's nothing wrong with that. But
Mhm.
what's really going to give you meaning, what's really going to lead you to
Mhm.
feel joy and make it really meaningful is not just accomplishing that goal, but understanding the why behind the goal and that
Mm.
emotion, that value that it's going to that you're giving it. That's what's really
Yes.
going to make it matter. It's going to make it count. So one of the what you asked me before about how can we
Mhm.
figure out what our values are? How do I
Yes.
identify them?
Yes.
So the way that I recommend, and with my clients, I do an exercise that I do with my clients to identify and clarify what your values are. Is first of all, you think about your life and you think about all the things that are really important to you. Just
Mm.
think about all those things.
Mhm. Mhm.
Make a list of the things that are important to you that you thought
Mhm.
of. Just write them down,
Mhm.
and then you're thinking about things in terms of the major areas of your life: your home, your work, your friends, your family,
Mhm.
yourself, your
Mhm.
partner, your spouse. So then Next to each thing that you wrote down, you write down why it's important to you,
Mm,
why you value those things.
mhm,
So the why is the key in identifying your values. That's why the things that are important to you in your life matter to you,
mhm.
because family is important, because I value honesty, because I value responsibility, because I value success, whatever it is.
Mm. I love that. I love that deep exercise. So, for those of you who's listening to us right now, just pause it right now, go back, because Odette really walked us through the exercise. So, to recap, she said, first of all, we need to write down all the important areas of our life. And then in front of it, we want to write down why this is important. So, for like example, she said family. Why, the family is important because I value responsibility, or I value honesty, or I value, the love or togetherness, anything, right? Does that sum up with that?
Exactly, exactly. Or, if you think my job is important, keep asking yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe you may come to the conclusion that maybe your job isn't that important after all, because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't bring you what you really are
What you
after, which
value?
is
Yep, yep.
satisfaction or a sense of accomplishment or a sense of pride or joy. So it really will help you determine what you really do value or not, just by putting
Wow.
it down and seeing it on paper.
I love that. I love that putting down on the paper, because journaling also is also one of my favorite. And I think
Yeah.
it would help us with this whole exercise of value by writing it with a pen and paper,
Yes.
because there's some magic between the pen and paper, and then it just really goes in deeper in our brain, and our
Yeah.
brain starts thinking. One other thing that I really wanted to, because you've done a lot of work between, seems like you've done a lot of work with your values, because even your work, you always talk about the self-awareness, you're talking about the values and aligning them to live a meaningful life. Is there something that keeps you up at night? Do you have like that burning desire when in terms of like the serving clients, or anything, and just in general about your life?
As far as keeping me up at night, I would say that, through the years, I've really worked on my own personal growth, and
Mm,
especially as I've become more and more in touch with my spirituality, I've
mhm,
I've really learned to just trust God or the universe and
mm,
just have faith that no matter what happens, everything will be okay,
mm,
and that whatever happens in life is happening for me and through me, and it's all for a higher good.
mm. I
But
love, even in
yeah,
this, you had values of trusting and faith. You're full of values. Like, it's just you really know your map.
yeah, but it's taken me time. It's taken me
Mm-hmm.
time in the past, and in the past years ago, I had severe anxiety, and I
Mm-hmm.
also lived with chronic pain for many years, which added to the anxiety.
Mm,
So in general, and of course I did worry. In general, I do have sometimes worry about things that are uncertain or things that are not in my control, such as health and safety of loved ones and things like
mm-hmm.
that. But it's mostly when I think about too far into the future and things that are uncertain,
Mm,
that's when you get in trouble. But when you stay
mm-hmm.
present, that helps you kind of just trust that everything will be okay, and that you just have to surrender to the universe and trust that it's going to be okay. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing that I do have now that I think about it as I'm talking is
Mm.
that I do reflect sometimes, am I doing enough? There's so many
Mm.
things that I want to do
Wow. Yes,
that
yes.
this has always been something within me. I've always had this sense of urgency,
Mhm,
and I just feel like I can't get anything done. So I do reflect at night, and I
mhm,
think, am I putting my focus and my energy where it's best served?
mhm. Oh,
So,
wow. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So that would be one thing if I had to name something that really would keep me at night, but that's where journaling comes in, and that kinda helps you get that thought
To
out of your
clear it out.
head
Yes,
and figure
yes.
that out. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that is probably like all of our question that probably keeps us up at night, that am I doing enough?
Right.
Because and most of the time, people would think that, okay, now you're a life and success coach, or that, come on, I'm pretty sure you got it. Like, you figured it out. But and that's why I wanted to ask, like, no, this is real Odette. Like even she has, these questions
Yeah,
that keeps her awake. Like now it's different. Yes. Now it's not about the security or the other thing, but now it's more for her like, am I doing enough to serve? Because
right,
from what I know you, and from what the part of work that you're doing for you, it's all about creating that ripple effect. And so
right,
that's what I heard, like, how you were saying, like, oh, am I doing this enough? And I have this question too, like,
right.
am I really doing enough? I was actually going to bring up those two questions that I actually 2 days ago I wrote down, that there are two questions that they're like really what we are like asking ourselves on a day-to-day basis. Am I using my time for the highest purpose? Am
Yeah,
I doing it enough? And like, how
right.
you mentioned, because that's what your calling is, because you really want to create that ripple effect. So I really appreciate, thank you for
Mm.
sharing that, because not many time people would share this. No, go
But I
ahead.
just want to mention, personal growth and personal
Hmm.
development is a process.
For
And it's
sure.
a lifelong journey. It doesn't
Yeah.
end. There's no
Yeah.
set destination. This is our job here on earth as
Hmm.
human beings, to learn and to grow and to evolve. And it's not a switch that
Nope.
you can just turn on and it happens overnight. It's a process, and you're going to go through it your entire life. There will
Yep.
always be something new to learn. As long as you're alive, as long as you're in this physical body, there will be something
Absolutely.
to learn. There will be a way that you can contribute to the world,
Hmm.
and there will be some way that you can grow.
Hmm. I like how you mentioned about that it's not a switch, because most of the time we think just this one podcast episode, my life is going to change. Just this one coaching session with the coach, and my life is going to change. Just this, one achievement that's going to change. But we forget that it's not about the destination. One destination, you reach it. Okay, how can I improve my, whatever that is, my productivity, or how can I be a better version of myself? We forget that yes, we don't want to compare ourselves to others, but we have to be our own benchmark. We got to be our
Right.
own benchmark, and that's how we're going to grow. And so it's like, it's not a switch. We're going to be keep on going with this. So thank you for mentioning that, the whole metaphor about switch, because a lot of time we don't think about that. That's
Yeah.
how it
We
is.
have to
You got
have
to
these
put in a work.
practices, and right. And we have to put the right practices in place, and the right
Mm-hmm.
routine in place, and the right habits in place. And this is how you conduct your life every day,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and reflect every day.
Yep.
And this is the way you conduct your life.
I love that you mentioned that you got to have that about habits. You have to have, the reflection every day, because just doing the value exercise once is not enough, because it might
Right.
change. Like today
Right.
I might value my job because it gives me the security. It might not be the same tomorrow. So
Right.
this is all about evolving. It's all about, how can we get better version of ourselves? How can we be our own benchmark, and how can we just, move the needle in the direction that
Right. Right.
we really
And
need.
also we forget. We
Mm.
forget. So we need the time to reflect.
Mm.
We need
Yes.
the time to reflect and to be reminded. This is why there is, for whoever's in an organized religion, that's why there's church on Sundays or temples
Mm-hmm.
on certain days of the week. Whatever. Everybody knows this stuff already,
Yeah.
but just knowing it is not enough.
It's
We have
not
to be
an. Mhm.
reminded. We have to live it. We have to study it, and we have to continue with that discipline.
Mhm.
Make
Mhm.
that choice that you're going to live your life that way.
100% agree, and that's why it's so important to have, these practices, like be the gratitude journal, be it a meditation practices,
Right.
anything that can take us in that direction
Right.
of,
Whatever's going to work for you.
work
That's
for, yeah.
that's why you have to be
Yeah,
self-aware,
of
right?
course. And
Mhm.
sometime what works for me might not work for you. Like you
Exactly.
might work morning journal for you, but for me, evening journals might work better. So
Right.
that's another thing that we need to figure out what works for me. Yes, learn, take the tools, and whatever tools that Odette just shared today, try, see. Have you tried it before? Try a different way. Try what she mentioned it, and see if that works for you. And then
Right.
try to
Right.
get values for you. Go
Right.
ahead.
Apply it in a way that makes sense
Yep.
for your life.
Oh, absolutely. That's another thing that we most of the time we think, okay, that worked for Mata, that should work for me, or that worked for Odette. It should, but we don't realize that we both don't have the same life.
Right.
You know,
This
it.
is the value of the one-on-one coaching, like we were talking
Mm-hmm,
about before.
mm-hmm.
Everyone is different. So when you work one-on-one with a coach, you can really dig into that individual's unique
It,
needs and what's
it,
best for them.
I mean, I have a personal experience when I work with in a group setting coaching for myself, for my personal development. And when I work with a personal coach, it's a whole total new game. It's like a game on a different level.
Right.
So I really highly, of course, that's why I recommend, one-on-one coaching is great as well. And having a personal coach is like, there's someone who won't judge you and give you that space to be who you are,
Right.
and they'll give you that space so that you can share, and they'll just be there to listen to you and get the answers from you, like,
Right.
from within yourself. It's not like they're gonna give us a quick fixes.
Right.
And that's why I love personal coaching as well. So now that we're talking about personal coaching and stuff, could you share your current projects, like how can someone work with you, or how can reach the audience reach out to you?
Sure. Well, I am offering one-on-one coaching.
Mm,
So you can, and I do offer a free discovery session
great,
for
great.
everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You can just schedule it right off of my website. The account, the link is on there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also offering. I just completed a group coaching program, a 6-week group coaching program,
Mhm.
and then
Yes,
I have a
yes.
new one coming up in February. That's pretty great too. I'm also working on an online course, which I hope by the summertime, I'm hoping to be able to launch it. So that's really
Amazing.
exciting about
Keep
that.
us keep us updated. I mean,
Yeah.
so for those of you who's listening to us, we're gonna have all these details in our show notes. So we'll have her website. We're gonna have all her social media handles. So make sure you give her a follow. So when she launches the course, you guys are the first one to find out. And if you have the email subscriptions, go there, find out, get all the details from her, or just DM her. I know that on a
Yeah,
personal level she
just
will
DM
tell
me.
you. Yes,
Just
just
DM
DM
me.
her.
Reach out.
Yep, thank you. I really appreciate that you're sharing the group coaching. Can you tell us a bit about, so if somebody's like really looking for it, and can they apply? Is there an application? How does it work?
You can DM me for now. I haven't announced the one that's coming up, but maybe by the time this podcast comes out, it will be announced. But you can DM me for now, or
Great.
reach out to me through my or just send me an email, lifecoach@odettecoronel.com, if you're
Amazing.
interested, and I can forward you the information.
Great, great, amazing. Thank you so much, Odette. Before we let you go, could you share the number one takeaway that you would want the audience to absorb today?
Sure. If you remember one thing about today, it's just to take ownership of your life.
Mm,
Figure out who you are and then just be yourself.
yes. Yes.
Know yourself, know what matters to you so that you can become the highest expression of you and live the life that's going to bring you the most joy.
Love it.
And I just want to leave you with one thing because we were talking about parenting so much,
Yes, yes.
um, and I'm a parent, so I love talking about my kids and everything. And I
Mm-hmm,
use this metaphor all the time with my family, with my kids, my husband and I.
mm-hmm.
Parents are a metaphor for God,
Mm,
or the universe or whatever.
yes, yes.
Our parents just want us to be happy and to reach our true potential.
Yep,
That's what God or the
absolutely.
universe wants for us too.
Yep,
That's our purpose. Be
yep.
happy and reach your true potential. Know who you are, be happy, and just be yourself.
Oh my gosh, I love that. First of all, I really love the takeaway that take the ownership of who you are. That is just taking that 100% 100% responsibility of who we are, what we do, how we feel. That is what's going to change the flip the page for us of the book.
Right.
So I really love that advice, and the key takeaway that you may say. And then, yes, I agree with the fact about the parent, like parents are, and even in our culture too, we say, like, parents are, they come first. They
Hmm.
are like, the God universe for us, and the metaphor, how we say
Right.
it. And so they really want us to reach our true, be happy and reach our true
Right.
potential. Like, whose parent wouldn't want that? And same
Right.
as God, like, God wants, we're all his,
Yeah.
his universe, whatever you may believe in, and you say that's what the universe, God wants for us, to
Yeah.
reach our
It's
truest
really not that
potential.
complicated, like what
No,
your purpose is. It's really not that complicated.
not
Be
at all.
you. Be
Yep.
you. Be the fullest, highest expression of you and
Yep.
be happy because that's what God wants for us and that's what we want for our kids. So that's how I know that that's what we're meant to do.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Odette. With that, we're going to leave you with the thought that just be you. That's it. That is the purpose. Forget about the house. That's going to come along. As long as
Exactly.
you start living like who you are, everything's going to, the puzzle pieces are going to just come in alignment, and things are going to work out. So, thank you so much, Odette, for your energy, for your wisdom, the insights, the practices, the tools, everything that you shared with us today. We really, really appreciate you, and hope to see you again, and share
Thank
more
you
about
so
on
much.
parenting, because you are, yes, we got to do that again too. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here.
Thanks for listening to Raise to Rise podcast. We would absolutely love to hear your thoughts about today's episode. Please let me know you have listened to this episode and fill me with your aha moment. Share it on Instagram, tag me with hashtag Raise to Rise or at Raise to Rise, and I would love to share those to my stories and shout you out there. I would also love if you can subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It's our brand new podcast launch, and we have some bonus giveaways going on for the top raters and reviewers. Also, I would love to send you my 7-day parenting journal absolutely for free. All you gotta do is leave me a review in the iTunes store, take a screenshot, and email it over at raisetorisepodcast@gmail.com. Again, take a screenshot of the review and email me at raisetorisepodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you the 7-day parenting journal absolutely for free. Thank you so much for being the active listener of this podcast. I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for raising your consciousness and rising as joyful beings.